Good morning, welcome to part 2 of my melodeon restoration. Here it is. Still looking like it's in need of a little bit of work. So what I'm going to do today is to tackle some of the bigger aspects of the issues with the melodeon. So one of the things that I've spotted is that the keyboard is damaged, so the keys are all pushed in. Some of the notes are playing without anything happening with the buttons being pressed. So the keyboard needs to be looked at. That's a serious problem. Also the bellows have serious problems with them because of there's a hole in one of the corners, some corners are missing, the bellows tape is damaged. So when doing a restoration, I think it's really important to sort the big stuff first before working on the finer tuning, if you like. So they're kind of they're working on the reeds and the tuning of the accordion and the cosmetic damage. Leave that until later and simply work on the bigger issues to start with. Get them sorted out. There's no point working on the finer details like the cosmetic condition and the tuning of the reeds if the keyboard's not working properly or the bellows have got holes in. So I'm going to start with the most important stuff. So I'm going to have a look at the keyboard today and just see if we can work out why all the buttons have all been pressed down so much. So I'm going to take the keyboard off and have a little look. Right. So first of all, I'm going to take off the grill. So the grill here, it's got two little screws. So undo them. Put them level. There we are, and the grill just comes off. Put that down there. And the next thing, take the pins out, and I've got my little bit of felt where I'm going to put the pins on in the right order so that when they come off, I know where they've come off from on the accordion, because sometimes they can be slightly different sizes. So one pin might fit in one particular hole better than another one. So they're not always exactly the same. So if you try and put the same pin in the same hole, when you put it back together again, it's a good idea. There we are. So take these ones out, put them on a little bit of felt. So I'm just going to take off the treble side to start with. I'm not doing any work on the bass side, so I'm just doing the treble side. So I'm going to lift off. I say it's quite tricky when it hasn't been taken apart that much. You've got to make some noises to get it off. There we go. It should be there. There we are. Should come off. Put that down there for a minute. So this is the bass end. Going to leave that aside. That's not really doing anything for the moment. I'll put that just that way. And then we've got all of this. Now we have got this weird bass strap thing going on here. So actually that's getting in the way. So I'm just going to take that off. But I said I will take it off, but actually, no. I'm going to leave it on. Those screws are a little bit tight, so I'll leave it on just for now. Now, when you look into the treble side, you'll see that there are two screws, one here and one here. And these are the screws that are holding on the keyboard bit, which is this wooden bit at the front here. Now I need to get this off so I can just have a look at the way that's sitting on here, because I think that's been bent. The whole thing's been bent and twisted. So if I get those two screws out, then I can take this off, have a good look at that keyboard part of the mechanism. So I'm going to get my little flat blade screwdriver here, and I'm going to carefully try and get these screws out. Now one thing I haven't got is my glasses, so we're going to get glasses. Can't see much without them. Right, so I'm going to carefully take out these two screws. Now you have to have a good screwdriver and put a little bit of force pushing down onto it so that you get a nice grip on the head of the screw so you don't round anything off. It could be quite an old screw, been there for a while. Might be some corrosion in there, so you have to be really careful not to ruin it. If you ruin the head of the screw, it's going to be very hard to get it out. Actually, this one's undoing pretty nicely, so that's actually quite good. Undo that one. And that one's not too bad. Either. So, let's have a little look. See what we can do with this. We'll give it a little wiggle. Okay, now what's happened here is there's some glue between the edge of the keyboard and this part of the melodeon. So someone's actually glued that on, maybe because there was some damage earlier. So what I'm going to be doing is very carefully tackling the glue, which is just into there. So what I'm going to do is stop the video for a minute, have a little play with it and just loosen up a bit and then come back in a sec. Phew. I have had to have a little bit of a fiddle. So what's going on is a bit of glue just between the fingerboard and the actual body of the accordion. So I've just had to free up some of the glue, attaching it to there and there. There was also a couple of screws which were used to hold the thumb strap into the wooden fingerboard, and the actual screws were interfering with the mechanism of the buttons, so the buttons weren't able to push down properly, which was causing the problem and stopping the keyboard from coming off, because the buttons need to be pushed right down and the keyboard lifted up to take it off. So by taking off the little screws that someone had put onto the thumb strap, so someone had kind of adapted it a bit, put a thumb strap on, and then the screws poking up through the bottom were interfering with the buttons on the bass side. On the buttons on this side, sorry, on the treble side. So now that that's all clear, so the thumb strap's taken off, the screws from the inside have been taken off, and I've cleaned up the glue and cleared up the glue between the join of the keyboard and the main body. Everything now comes apart. So let's have a little look, just give it a little wiggle. There we are. So now the keyboard part is free. Now this is made of wood. It's got some damage to it. It's kind of got some splits and cracks and so it needed a bit of work. So what I'm going to do with this is see if I can make some repairs to the wood. So I'm going to just clean it up. I'm going to sand it a bit. I'm going to fill the cracks in with some wood glue and clamp it, so get that all fixed up. Get it nice and smooth on the edges where it fits onto here. So get that all kind of fitting nicely together before I reattach this keyboard back to the rest of the melodeon. So that's going to be the next thing, and I'm going to give that a really good sort out, give it a bit of repair work really. So I'll put that down there for a minute, and then what you're left with is all of the buttons attached to the pallets. So what these all actually are looking in good shape. So I'm going to give them a good old clean. I'm going to get some isopropyl alcohol and clean up all the grease. I'm going to just check all the mechanisms, but actually that's now looking a lot better. So all the pallets are now covering the holes in this part of the melodeon, so there's no funny notes going on. So really I think by getting the keyboard off, taking off that silly little thumb strap with the screws that are screwed into the fingerboard, getting all that off has actually solved some of the problems anyway. So the next step is to leave this bit. This looks to be actually okay, perfectly usable. But the next step is to have a little look at fixing this part, get this keyboard refurbished before I can put it back on again. Okay, stop the there for a minute. I've had a good look at this keyboard, and there's a bit too much damage really for it to work that well. Whilst trying to get the screws out and the screw holes from here, there's a little bit of cracking on the holes where the buttons come through, so that wood was quite weak and it just a bit came away. Maybe a little bit heavy-handed, but there are also some pretty nasty cracks on here, and so all together, there we go, all together it's quite poor really. And to get a nice working melodeon, I think it's probably a good idea now to order a new fingerboard, which I can fix on, and actually have it done properly, because I think this is just a bit too old, a bit too damaged. It's got holes all over it, so I'm going to actually start again with the fingerboard and put a new one on, rather than try to separate, get this one back. It's a bit too much gone really, so I'm going to put that away for a minute. What I have done is I've given all the keys a nice clean, and actually used a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and also used a good old scourer sponge with a little bit of ferro liquid on, and that was really good at just cleaning off all the grime off these keys, so they're all looking nice and clean. So that bit is now pretty good. It's all mechanically sound, all clean. So I'm going to leave that bit now. I'm going to order a new keyboard, and hopefully that will come fairly soon, so that can be just fitted up. So the next task is going to be a big one, and it's going to be to sort out the bellows. Now the bellows are such an important part of a melodeon or an accordion, because that's the kind of the lungs of the instrument, which kind of allows you to push the air past all the reeds. But these bellows are quite damaged, and so what I'm going to do is start taking these bellows down a bit, taking the bellows tape off, fixing the corners, put some new bellows tape on, and kind of restoring the bellows to a good standard, so that they're kind of airtight and able to kind of push the air nicely through the reeds. So the next video I'll start to take the bellows, I'll strip them down a bit and refurbish them. So I'll do that for the next one. Okay.